Good morning, Sydney. Trying to experiment with sticking my face in the corner. I am killing time now on M71 to see if we can get the conjunction between Mars and Venus. Surprisingly, the sky is cloudy. Well, the surprising part is not it's cloudy. The surprising part is DWARF was able to calibrate, and it is imaging in the clouds. So we'll see whether we can get it or not. I tried going for comet C2 2021 S3, but DWARF was not happy. So we're going to stay here for the half hour or so before Venus rises. Venus should be rising at just around 6 a.m. 5:55 my time. It clears the trees by 6. Having calibrated DWARF, it should be able to go to Venus with no problem, and then let's see if we can get Venus and Mars in the same frame. Let me confirm that I'm not giving you incorrect information. Yes, confirming it is Venus and Mars. They rise at, they have the exact same altitude, and they rise at exactly 5:45. They will be 1 degree up at 5:55, 2 degrees at 6. That's the earliest I'm likely to see them, at 2 degrees of altitude. The sun is not going to be too far behind them, that's the problem. Okay, I'm back. Thank you. Let me see if I can let the folks on the DWARF group know that we're up. Yeah, I have been on Matthew Shipley's channel many times. As you saw yesterday with my big rig, the 11-inch scope, it can give some very, very nice detail of planets. The field of view is 14 minutes by 8 minutes. So that is at best a quarter sun. I have a ×2 lens for it, but I doubt it will give me as good a quality as without the lens. We're not getting much of Messier 71. It is a tiny cluster. As long as it is stacking, it means we have a good chance of getting Mars. Please ask anything that's over your head or technical, please ask. My very first telescope was a 4-inch Celestron, the 4SE, and I still remember I was in awe the very first time I saw Jupiter in it, and then Saturn, and realized gradually that the field of view is going to be tiny unless I go with a much larger scope. Over the years I went from a 4-inch to an 8-inch. The 8-inch, the Celestron 8-inch HD on a C-gem mount was arguably the best scope I had. The big mistake I made was trading it in to get the 11-inch. They paid me good money for it, and that offset the cost of the 11-inch, but now in hindsight I should have kept the 8-inch. It was so incredibly accurate in its go-to that I was able to find the International Space Station in broad daylight with it. Jupiter is not as much a big deal in daylight because I can always look for it if it's off by a few minutes. If the scope is off by a few minutes or even a degree or so, I can look for Jupiter. International Space Station, it's moving so fast, it blows through the field of view in under a second, so there is no looking for it. It was just a matter of aiming the Edge HD to a part in the sky. I should say aiming the C-gem mount, because it did the work, and starting the capture. And sure enough, there it was, there she was. I've never been able to get... Good morning, Chris. We're killing time waiting for Venus to rise. I successfully calibrated the dwarf, which I did not expect. It's cloudy out there, clouds on and off, and I'm keeping dwarf busy. Just for the next few minutes. Chris, we were talking about the success I had a 3 days ago in imaging Jupiter in broad daylight. I have a new camera that I put on my scope, and I wanted to try it, and I did not want to wait for dark, and it came out nice. The fact that it found Jupiter from the get-go, I was happy with it. And yesterday we spent some time looking at the moon in some great detail with both the 11-inch, and with the dwarfed, lesser detail, but the full disc. And we're experimenting with putting my face in the field of view as well. .555 is the official rise time for Venus here. Venus and Mars will be side by side, exact same altitude and a degree, just about a degree of azimuth apart. So I'm going to show you guys something. Stand by. There's a dwarf. Sitting right behind me at the window. See it? Right up there. I'm trying to get as much elevation as possible here, so we are at the second floor of the house. Yeah, no other telescope that I know will sit happily on a window ledge, on a windowsill, and do its job. '87 of them. I have run 87 marathons so far, and working my way slowly, literally, to get to 100 before I turn 100. Our house is built on the side of a hill. So east is ahead of me, west is behind me. The house is facing east. So the big scope is at the basement level. We have a patio, a walkout basement, and it can see everything above about 5 degrees. Up here in my office, it gives me an additional 20 feet height. So I clear a lot more trees from here. Or actually I clear the same trees but a lot earlier from here. Plus I have the convenience of opening the window, putting the dwarf and going live literally in minutes. Let me see how cold it is outside, which means inside by now. We have 13 degrees outside. taking a peek. Venus and Mars have risen at this point. The altitude has just turned positive. I used it only once, the RDSP protocol. I have been I've been happy imaging or mirroring, I should say, the tablet onto the laptop. This way I can command and control and view all in the same box. So I tried it once, it worked. I may have to use it on April 8th. We have an exchange agreement with the Fort Worth Astronomical Society. We are both on the path of totality, so if either of us is clouded out, and we are more likely to be clouded out than Texas, then we will exchange streams, and I'll most likely give them the RTSP. Okay, I'm gonna go find Venus. Okay, sorry, go live. It found the trees, and that's good. We have broken clouds, and as you can tell, we're trying to clear the horizon. So I do not need the wide view. I'll leave it on just in case Saturn shows up there first. I meant to say Venus, not Saturn. There is no Saturn this morning. Sydney, on eclipse day, there will be one comet that's 12 Pons Brooks near the sun, at least in the field of view of the sun, and I'm anxious to see if I can image it when it gets dark. My sky is purple. The sun is rising. Oh, thank you. Infrared pass, infrared cut. Now the sky is no longer purple. Thanks, Sydney. That is one annoying feature of the new firmware on DWARF. It forgets all your settings anytime you change anything and goes back to the defaults. The purple sky looked nice. Oh, it is natural. We have had some very purple sunrises. I expect, given the clouds, that we will have a spectacular sunrise today. Fortunately, the skies are very thick where Venus is supposed to rise. You can probably see it in the wide field of view. So we're expecting Venus somewhere in that little hole up there. The break in the clouds. It is 6 a.m. The tree that you're looking at is a 60-year-old maple tree. it is not coming down. (6:01), we are at 2 degrees. Venus is at 2 degrees, so we are just now clearing the hillside. The weather forecast for tonight is crystal clear skies and cold. I'll be taking some time today making up a list of targets. I'm not gonna miss out on a clear night. I'll most likely have 2 telescopes. The moon will still be very, very bright. So I'm gonna have to find targets either northeast or southeast, as far from the moon as possible. At this point, we're just waiting to break through the clouds. There is a possible opening up there. Well, I tried blowing away the clouds, not much success. I figured it's worth giving it a go and seeing if we get it. Right now it's looking promising. By the way, this is one advantage that DWARF has over Seestar. It will go to a target in the dark even without plate solving, which is what it did now. That's why I calibrated it, aligned it earlier against a clear sky, and then told it to go look for Venus. The big functional difference between DWARF and Seestar is that DWARF will calibrate itself and then go looking for targets. Seestar will not calibrate, it will just go look for targets and then plate solve when it thinks it is near the target. And Chris, this is one reason why I always start my night with Seestar by going to Polaris. This way it knows what it's looking at, and that allows it to find targets from there on very, very quickly. Okay, clouds are breaking. Fortunately, Mars has a magnitude of about 1. I learned that tip the hard way. My Seestar confuses its north with its south. And the very first time I asked it to go to a target, it found the wall of the house and sat there staring at it, trying to plate solve the wall. Since I have clear view of both the north and the south, I figured send it to Polaris. Polaris will always be in the same place. And if it finds itself looking south, it will know, and then it will swivel around and go north. And it became part of the playbook. We have been streaming for just under an hour, 46 minutes. And the DWARF has lost half its battery. So I'm gonna plug it in. Stand by. Okay, we plugged it in. I wish the Seestar folks had put a piece of metal at the tip of the scope so the solar filter attaches magnetically the way the DWARF does. I find it extremely awkward pushing that solar filter into the Seestar and then taking it out. Right now with the DWARF I should be able to just without doing much work, put the solar filter on and slew it to the sun this morning. A little quick lesson in forestry. The spruce tree that you see on the right side of the screen is exactly 30 years old. Planted it in 1994. And it is shooting higher than the house at this point. It's about 60 feet high. And as you can tell, the clouds are gonna be breaking up soon. You can see the cars at a distance going through the tiny lights. We don't see any cars in the summer when the leaves are on the trees, but we see them in winter. Have a good weekend, Chris. Catch you later. As the sky gets brighter, I'm confident Venus will see, but I don't know about Mars. Giving it 10 more minutes tops, and then we'll declare the weekend open. So this is the sky that we are dealing with. We're coming up on another thick band. This is our last chance, probably in the next minute or two. Yeah, we're going through a tiny crack in the clouds. Don't know if either planet will show through or not. Yeah, it's worth it. That's one thing astronomy taught me is you will only regret the opportunities that you did not try. I wish you a good weekend all, and if you have nothing better to do on a Saturday night, join me tonight for what should be a good imaging night despite the moon. There are enough Messier objects to the northeast that we should be able to have a good day or good night.